Today we're gonna continue where we left off. To recap, in the first half of our upstate New York adventure, we visited Niagara Falls, the birthplace of buffalo wings, historic Lockport, and Letchworth State Park, the Grand Canyon of the East. Today we continue towards Rochester, Watkins Glen, Corning, and much more as we wrap up our Summer 2021 season. I'm riding with my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. It says clearance 12.8. Good thing I'm short. It is a little over an hour drive from Letchworth State Park to the Twilight on the Erie campground, the only place we could find that had vacancy on a weekend, on short notice, and was relatively close to Rochester. We're letting serendipity dictate this final part of the trip a little bit. And here we are. I don't know whether I find it fascinatingly unique and quirky, or just a little bit creepy. The decor is eclectic, to say the least. We've got a pretty nice pull-through site, so let's explore a little bit. We decided to visit the local pub, Twisted Rail Brewing in nearby Macedon. We've got some IPAs at their cozy bar because that's what you do, right? And the fried veggies appetizer. Then lock number 30 on the Erie Canal. And that's all for today. Good morning, August 20th, 2021. We just hit 200,000 subscribers and we're going to Rochester. It is a good 20 miles from the campground to Rochester proper, and it takes about half an hour. We want to visit the George Eastman Museum, but it doesn't open until 10 a.m., so we have about 30 minutes to kill, so we're gonna stop by a pretty unique place here in downtown. Well, there's a brewery right there. By the way, we're in Rochester now, but that's not our main destination right now. Whoa, check that out. It definitely feels peculiar to see a waterfall of that magnitude in the middle of a large city. It is called High Falls. This, by the way, the Genesee River. Same river we saw at Letchworth State Park. Ooh, check out that rainbow. The brewery, by the way, Genesee Brewing Company, and they do have a brew house, so we'll be going there later. Well, that is pretty impressive, isn't it? Not the clearest of water, is kind of muddy, but you don't usually get to see a roaring waterfall like that in the middle of a downtown, which is basically what this is, downtown Rochester, New York. Very cool. Now we're gonna go to the George Eastman Museum, which for any photographer I think would be a kind of a little of a bucket list destination, and they're supposed to have one of the largest collection of photography in the world. this was a good start to our day here in Rochester, for sure. Let's go for a walk along the pedestrian bridge. We can see the iconic Times Square building. To me, the embellishment atop looks like a lobster claw, but they're supposed to be wings. Yeah, they have a bunch of tables and chairs here because apparently yesterday they had some kind of dining event here on the bridge and it was closed, just for dining. But it's a very nice pedestrian bridge, and of course that looks like a nice place. You got a view of the waterfalls over there, and over here you have the other side of the bridge. I mean, it looks like there used to be another bridge down there. Oh, here they have something saying what they had last night. It was it's called Dinner on the Bridge, August 19th. Rain date, just in case it rained. It didn't rain last night, I'm sure. It was beautiful. That would have been something nice to, all those serendipitous things that would be nice to experience when you come to a city. All right, let's go to the George Eastman Museum now. Here we are, they just opened up. The large photo of the Taj Mahal is one of 565 transparencies used as an advertising campaign on display at Grand Central Station, New York, between 1950 and 1990. Now let's go inside. The first thing we encounter is the main galleries featuring photographic art collections. I think the next section is the one that I'm going to enjoy the most. This is called the Motoscope. It is an early motion picture device working on the same concept as a flip book, and this a kinetoscope. Here's the legendary Panavision Panaflex, the camera that revolutionized filmmaking, in part because of its nearly silent operation. After its introduction in 1972, it became the camera of choice in Hollywood. And here's a 1928 Motiograph Deluxe projector, one of the last silent movie projectors. This is a daguerreotype dating back to 1839, depicting two girls. This one is an ambrotype, which is a photographic process on glass. This one dates back to 1860. This is what the 1967 Lunar Orbiter camera subsystem looked like. It was used to map the surface of the moon, looking for a suitable landing site. It included a mini lab of sorts to develop the film and a scanner to transmit the images back to Earth. The 1988 tactical camera here is the oldest known digital single lens reflex, or DSLR. On the left, the first Kodak amateur digital camera from 1995. Here we have some stereographs from the late 1890s. Fascinating. What can I say? To me, this room alone was worth the price of admission, which, by the way, is $18 for adults. At the time of our visit, the gardens are closed due to construction, which is a real bummer. This is what they're supposed to look like. Now let's go see the George Eastman Mansion. And we'll begin right here at the dining room. this is the conservatory, probably the most beautiful room in the whole house. Here's the Aeolian organ, and apparently Mr. Eastman liked to have breakfast to the sound of heavy rolling cathedral tones. He even had his own organist, but also a player piano mechanism was attached to it, so he could play it from his bedroom by remote control. Next, the billiard room, the place where Mr. Eastman would entertain guests. On the windows, some of the means of transportation at the turn of the 20th century. The next room is called the Little Library, and it houses George Eastman's extensive and meticulously catalogued book collection. Now stepping onto the entrance hall. Let's take the flying staircase to the second floor. Here once again, the conservatory from a higher viewpoint, and the elephant in the room. The South Organ Chamber. This is believed to be the largest residential organ in the world. It has 6,000 pipes, and these are just a few of them. George Eastman committed suicide in 1932 at the age of 77. His suicide note read, "To my friends, my work is done. Why wait?" This is one of those places I've been wanting to visit since childhood. Most of what I know about photography I learned from a book, probably from the 1940s, maybe early 50s. And this book, full of black and white pictures, taught all the techniques on how to take good photos and even the development processes. On the cover, it read, Eastman Kodak Company, Rochester, New York. And we finally made it here. Again, really disappointed we can't visit the gardens, but that just gives us an excuse to return one of these days. Check it out! George Eastman and Thomas Edison demonstrating Kodak-Color film in 1928. We've worked up an appetite with all this museuming. Not to mention, we decided to forego breakfast in order to get here early, so we are meeting patron, Chief Pelicamp head and executive producer Anthony Giordano for lunch. We're gonna try a local delicacy, something called a garbage plate. And this is where the famous concoction was invented, Nick Tahoo Huts, a local iconic landmark here in Rochester.
Yes.
Okay, this is Anthony, by the way, executive producer Anthony. So we're gonna eat at this. This is like, if you come to Rochester, this is the place, right?
Yes. All right. Yes.
And everything on yours?
Yes.
That's simple, all the same. How about drinks?
Root beer. Oh.
They've been here for what? 103 years. Nick Tahoo Huts in 1918 was hot dogs originally, and now it's the burger is the most popular plate So with the burger garbage plates. That's what we're gonna have.
Okay.
No, that's it. I have no idea how to eat this, but we'll figure it out. While we give Anthony a ride back to his place, he gives us a little bit of a tour. For example, here to the left we have women's rights and anti-slavery activist Susan B. Anthony's house. And on the next block, to the right, we encounter Susan B. Anthony's square.
There, that's Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass sitting down enjoying tea.
Rochester so far, very good looking town, let me tell you. This is Highland Park, originally designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, one of the nation's first municipal arboretums. Here on the right, by the corner, a statue of American abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Let's stop here by this greenhouse called Lamberton Conservatory. Well, this is Highland Park, Rochester's first park from 1883, right here. By the way, it was great meeting up with Anthony, and now we're just here. You know, this park has like all these very nice gardens, and there's like a greenhouse. Yeah, the greenhouse is called the Lamberton Conservatory, and we're gonna check it out real quick. I don't know if we can go inside. Let's see if we can go in. I guess this is not the entrance. It is so pleasant here. And the admission fee is $3 per adult. Not bad. Not bad at all. So pleasant out here. We will come back. It seems beautiful in there. Actually, Enrique, another Pelican head from Rochester, contacted us and invited us to join him and his wife Sandra for a refreshing India Pale Ale here at Genesee Brewery. And who am I to say no to something like that? Let's have a beer here at the Genesee Brew House. Historic and Genesee Brew House.
And with your wife.
Well, that was really good. That was a lot of fun. There it is, the iconic Kodak building. And with that, we're going to say goodbye to Rochester for now. It rained all night, so everything is wet. Today we're heading south towards the Finger Lakes. It is about an hour and a half drive to the Watkins Glen KOA, which is our destination for today. Well, never went to see the Erie Canal. We've seen it in other areas. In any case, I know the plants need the water and all that, but man, everything gets wet. Look at those little boats. It's like boat tours. That's pretty cool. Everything gets wet, water gets everywhere. Especially when you're breaking camp on a rainy day. Now we're going to the famous Watkins Glen, and that should be that's everybody has told us that we have to go there, so that's where we're going. Here we are, arriving in Geneva, New York, at the northern end of Seneca Lake, the largest of the Finger Lakes. Geneva here, major tourist destination, gateway to the Seneca Lake Wine Trail. And this here is kind of the northern terminus of such trail. It is a very famous wine region, and from here on south, it's gonna be winery after winery after winery until we get to Watkins Glen. Here we are, finally arriving at Watkins Glen. We're gonna have to drive through town to get to the campground, and then we'll be back. Very, very busy town, lots of traffic, typical touristy downtown, but it is extremely cute. And Enrique recommended a barbecue place here. I think it is the only barbecue place. So that's where we're gonna have dinner after we drop the trailer. Well, here we are, Watkins Glen KOA Resort. And this is what $100 will get you. It's a bit overpriced, I think. But this is a case of location, right? You are in the heart of the Finger Lakes with all the wineries around, and they do have on the weekends, like tonight they have like a concert, and they do have all kinds of activities. You know, it's one of those resort type. We got a leaky faucet here, but other than that, everything seems to work. There's a nice view of Seneca Lake as we descend upon the town of Watkins Glen. Parking near the restaurant might be a little bit of a challenge. What do you know? It is our lucky day. This is Franklin Street, the main drag here at Watkins Glen. And we're going to walk around a little bit, but not too far because we're kind of famished and really looking forward to some good eating. And here it is. Nichols Pet Barbecue. Really got the mess, and I got the trifecta. That was delicious. Now for dessert. Oh no, it's melting. Irish cream, that's good. Look at that, 2 breweries side by side. Maybe tomorrow, because we can't go back home without stopping by at least one of the wineries, and they all close early, so we must hurry. And this is one of the closest ones to town, Lakewood Vineyards. It is a beautiful property. By the way, there is a concert at the campground, but either I'm getting old or it is too darn loud. Well, good morning. We're gonna have some empanadas for breakfast and then we're gonna go for a little hike. Everybody's leaving the campground today. By the way, those empanadas, remember Sandra and Enrique? We met them at the brewery in Rochester. Well, Sandra made them, and Enrique gave me a beautiful wooden American flag for Pelicamp that he made himself. There are 3 entrances to the park, and we thought this was the main entrance, but it is not. This is the south entrance. The one you would use if you were camping, for example. Well, we made it to Watkins Glen State Park. The main thing to do here is the Gorge Trail. And by coming in through the wrong entrance and going down these stairs instead of continuing straight, we're going to get to the gorge at the halfway point. Well, not quite the halfway point, but not at either end. It'll just be a little confusing at first. This is where it gets a little confusing because there's a South Rim Trail as well, but the one we want to do is the 1.5 mile long Gorge Trail. And here's the suspension bridge. That was a really cool view. I hope we get to go down there. Okay, Indian Trail this way, Gorge Trail, Waterfalls. I guess it is this way. Check it out. We made it almost all the way to the bottom of the gorge here. I believe you're able to walk behind the waterfall. It is called Cavern Cascade. I think we were just behind that waterfall. That's awesome. No matter where you look, no matter the angle, it is beautiful. And this is it, the Century Bridge. And this is kind of the east entrance where we should have entered the park actually. So I think we're just gonna turn around right here. Now we're gonna do the whole trail as you're supposed to, starting at the beginning. See, this is a staircase of waterfalls, beautiful. We are here, so we got all these waterfalls coming up.
That's really cool.
Some places exceed your expectations, and so far, this has definitely been one of those.
And here we go, another waterfall. Right there. Pretty cool.
There's a tall one coming up, and it is starting to get a little crowded here. This one is called Central Cascade.
A lot of people here doing this trail. Too many people, but still a gorgeous trail. Just gorgeous here. That way too, look at that.
Yeah, always remember to look back. Just unreal. This one is called Rainbow Falls. One thing is almost guaranteed, you will get wet on this hike.
That's a lot of fun going behind the waterfall there. This is gorgeous.
Let me tell you something, I'm glad we came early. In a couple of hours, this is probably gonna be insanely crowded. This upper part of the trail is much flatter with just a few stairs here and there. And that's it, the railroad bridge, the end of the trail. There's a stairway called Jacob's Ladder, but we're just gonna turn around now.
And that's it, we made it all the way to Jacob's Ladder, and that's like the western entrance to the park. So we decided not to do it. We're gonna return now to we're at the southern entrance.
To me, this is the prettiest part of the hike.
We're gonna take Lover's Lane on the way back.
Yeah, this is an alternate trail, a spur if you will, with views from a higher perspective. This is Lover's Lane Lookout. Should I photobomb them? Maybe not. 1908, the year Lover's Lane was built.
Alright, south entrance that way, so that should be our exit. So in total, according to Mr. Fitbit here, so far 2 hours on the trail, 3 miles, that's all we've done. But I'm gonna check the elevation now. The elevation has to be, off the charts. Well, my Fitbit doesn't say, but according to Ili's Apple Watch, we did 27 flights of stairs, which, yeah.
This is the main entrance to the park, right here on the left. Who wants to go to a brewery? Actually, we are more hungry than thirsty, but we'll see. And once again, we got lucky with parking. Here we go, craft beer flights and pints. Let's try Finger Lakes Beer Company here. No food. That's no good.
Well, epic fail. The place we wanted to come to eat is closed, and the place next door with the beer company, they don't sell food. So we're gonna go someplace else.
We ended up at this place called Winery. It's got good reviews. We've got some onion rings, poutine, and their specialty, the brat. I think we have to do at least one more winery here in the Finger Lakes region, and at some point we may come back and do more. But today, just one. And I just drove past it because I don't know how to drive. This is Fox Run Vineyards. And this is one of the big ones. It opens until 6 and it has a tasting room, a cafe, market, tours, gift shop, the works. So let's check it out. The views from the balcony are supposed to be amazing. Yeah, that's all you get with the flight. By the way, the wine's really great and really nice views of Seneca Lake. But it felt somewhat impersonal. It wasn't a proper tasting, it was more like a flight, like what you would get at a brewery, for example. And it does make a difference when you get a bartender who explains the tasting notes and tells you a little bit about the wine. Here you just get 5 samples with a card, which isn't necessarily bad, just not what I expected. We decided to come all the way to Geneva since we were kind of close already, and we couldn't stop yesterday with the trailer in tow. Places like this are best enjoyed with some kind of watercraft. Now we're going back south on the eastern shore, which is also dotted with numerous vineyards, being part of the wine trail. And with that, another day comes to an end. Tomorrow we're going down to Corning, a town you may have heard it's famous for its glass. Well, good night. We're on our way to Corning, New York, and the farther south we get, the more mountainous it becomes. Corning, by the way, where we're going, population 11,000, best known for being the headquarters of the company formerly known as Corning Glassworks, founded in 1851. Nowadays, just Corning Incorporated. They are responsible for many innovations in the world of glass, ceramics, advanced optics, from the telescope mirror at Palomar Observatory in California to spacecraft windows and the Hubble telescope. They invented Pyrex Corel dinnerware and the Gorilla Glass used on the iPhone since its first iteration, and many other mobile devices. In 1951, marking their 100th anniversary, they founded the Corning Museum of Glass, and here we are.
Corning Museum of Glass.
First things first, they're having a glass-making demonstration at the hot shop, so let's see that first and then the rest of the museum.
We're shaping the glass, but we're cooling it as well. The cooler bubble on the inside is now wrapped up in that fresh gathered glass, so it's going to take on that heat and start to move around on us. We wait for the temperature to even out throughout all of the material before we begin to inflate it, because the air is always going to follow the path of least resistance. Where the glass is hottest, that's where it's softest, so that's where it's going to inflate. So by controlling the temperature, we can control how the glass moves and where it will inflate. It takes a good amount of years to become skilled with this material and then spiral it a little bit further, inflating it the whole while. You can hear the clicks of the foot pedal. This is a really challenging technique, but it creates a really nice texture on the surface of the glass. We have to work really efficiently whenever we use those optic molds, because the optic molds draw temperature out of the glass and create those ridges. And as long as we don't have to reheat the glass 10 times, we won't melt that away. So in order to keep that texture on the surface, we have to work really quickly with that heat or core heat that we have from reheating the glass just before we use the optic mold.
I'm not going to show you the whole presentation. It is rather lengthy, but fascinating nonetheless. The skillful craft of glass making. We'll begin with the contemporary art and design galleries. This one is called Global Cities, and it represents major cities of the world and their population change over the years. Very interesting. This one is called Cephaloproteus Riverhead. 4 hearts, 10 brains, blue blood drained through an alembic. No comment. I was not prepared for the sheer size of this place. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and we're only at the first gallery. Let's take a break from the Contemporary Art Gallery and go into the Innovation Center, which is a little more what I had in mind when I first thought of visiting this museum in particular. I like the art galleries too, don't get me wrong, but this is a little more in my wheelhouse. I'm fascinated, particularly by optics and how we can reflect and refract light in different ways. Here's the 1924 200-inch disc from Palomar Observatory. Oh, the Fresnel lenses used to focus the light beam and make it visible from farther distances. To this day, used on lighthouses, among other uses.
That's really trippy.
Next, in Sparkling Company, Glass and the Cost of Social Life in Britain during the 1700s. 35 centuries of glass here is, according to the museum website, the most comprehensive and celebrated glass collection in the world, and I believe it. It covers pretty much every epoch, every culture. It is almost overwhelming. I mean, I've never seen and probably never see again as many different glass objects in the same room. It is fascinating to see, but a little too much. It is one of those museums that you should maybe do like 2 separate visits so you can fully appreciate everything that is on display. Wow, Bohemian glass. Next time I come to a museum like this, please remind me to turn off the front camera on the GoPro. It makes for an unsightly reflection sometimes. Wow, this is amazing! Overwhelmed yet? Well, we only have the Tiffany Studios Gallery to go. They even have a section dedicated to wine bottles and glasses.
Well, it is an overwhelming museum, let me tell you. And I don't think we even saw everything because it is like, I mean, you could spend the whole day in there and not see every piece that they have. But yeah, that was very cool to see. Now I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe explore the town of Corning since we're here.
The Corning Museum of Glass has got to be one of the most complete glass museums ever. And what better location to have it than a city which is practically a synonym of high-tech glass, not to mention its namesake. It seems to be a charming town. There is one more point of interest we want to visit today, and that is Harris Hill, the soaring capital of the world. They have all kinds of attractions, including an airport where you can actually ride on a glider. But we didn't plan for that, so we're just going to stop by the overlook, taking the views, and continue. Here on the left is the end of the runway, and when they are flying, you can see them take off right over your head. Must be quite something. Yep, that's the end of the runway right there. Very nice views from up here. Is that the Chemung River I see? Let's check out the airfield real quick. And there's also a museum here, but suffice to say, we're museumed out for today. By the way, they are a harvest host, so maybe next time. Right now, there is one more thing to do. Let's go back into town and see if that brewery is open. And Roosterfish is open, but they are severely understaffed. They even have a sign saying that seating will be limited and service may take long.
It's a double Dan IPA. Cheers. And we're right here on the street.
In fact, there's only one guy taking care of the whole place. We got some nachos and a burger, and life is good.
Oh, that certainly hit the right spot. Oh yeah, we finally were able to eat here at the brewery, and I think that would be a fitting end to our video here of the Finger Lakes, Watkins Glen, Corning, and right now we're gonna do something crazy. We're going back to Florida. It's gonna take 3 days to go back to Florida, and then we're doing the Hershey RV show, we're doing the open house, and then we're coming right back here. And we're gonna pick up where we left, but in a totally different season. That's gonna be fun.
Wanna know what's the quickest way from upstate New York down to Florida? You're about to find out, and I don't really know if this is the quickest way, but it is probably the most efficient way while avoiding I-95 altogether, and it is a much more scenic drive. Riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding, I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah. This is such a gorgeous area. As you saw, we crossed into Pennsylvania, and here's the plan. The idea behind this 2,000-mile-plus detour is in part, Florida is our home state and there are things we need to do there, but also timing. We want to catch the Northeast at its best. And we've heard fall, where the leaves start turning and all that, we've heard it is the best time to visit, so we're delaying our arrival to Vermont by a little over a month. So that's the plan. We're more or less halfway across Pennsylvania, here in Selinsgrove, in the middle of the Susquehanna River Valley, and home to Susquehanna University. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, and 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, because I'm free in my RV. Yeah, riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, because I'm free. Yeah. Break it down. Riding in my RV, wherever I want to be. Oh, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, riding in my RV, whenever I want to be.
Oh, thank you.
'Cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, riding. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be.
287.9 after my Good Sam discount. We haven't seen those gas prices since Iowa, I don't think. So yeah, Flying J here in Virginia.
I see mountains on the horizon, and mountains make me happy. We're slowly approaching my favorite part of Appalachia. Originally, we were thinking of making it a Walmart night, but we've decided to stay at Claytor Lake State Park instead.
We just arrived here. It's getting late, but I think the lake is like right there. So let's check it out. Tomorrow morning we'll come back. We'll see it. Oh, look at that. Did you see all those deer? That was awesome, but it is getting kind of dark and there's supposed to be bear around here. So I'm just gonna go back to the campsite, get some to eat. Yeah, sunset just happened back there. Good morning. We're gonna go see if we can see the lake.
What a beautiful lake. What a great discovery! Today, the goal is to sleep somewhere in Georgia, and we've got a little bit of traffic here on I-81 South. We're taking I-77 south towards Charlotte, and we're gonna be going downhill here for quite a few miles. And coincidentally, this is the point where we're gonna start saying goodbye to the mountains. If you've been watching for a while, and I mean a while, since like late 2018, we're approaching an important area in our travels, a pivotal point. I remember I was driving through here, in the opposite direction actually, with old Kia. Remember old Kia? We were going to the Hershey RV show. Tires Plus in Coral Gables had killed my original engine while doing a tune-up. They dropped something in the cylinder and the rest is history. But they replaced it with a different engine that started acting up, well, back in South Georgia. But I decided to push through, thinking it might be a hiccup. But by the time I got here, it was pretty clear I wasn't gonna make it all the way to Pennsylvania, so I stopped at this very rest area to regroup and make a decision. I am here about an hour north of Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if I'm gonna make it or if I should take it to a shop. You know, there's no Tire Plus here in this area, but they told me that I could take it to any Firestone. I don't know if I should try to make it. I'm still about 5 to 6 hours away from Hershey. And this is the very rest area on that other side, on the northbound side, where I decided to abort the trip and go back about 24 miles to Mooresville to the Firestone, see if they could, you know, because it was a warranty work in a sense, if they could fix it. Of course, those were the last 24 miles the old Kia ever towed Minitini. Here we are, Mooresville, North Carolina. Let me show you that parking lot where I dry camped for 2 nights, waiting for old Kia to get fixed, with a hurricane looming in the Atlantic. And that's the place. No one ever thought it was going to take that long, so they just told me to drop the trailer while they worked on the car. And hours turned into days. And eventually, viewer Richard Lima was super kind to allow me to stay at his place nearby with full hookups. To this day, no one really knows what went wrong with that second engine. These mechanics in Mooresville tried, I know they tried, but eventually, since it was a warranty job, it was decided to tow old Kia back to the original shop in Coral Gables, and they rented me an F-250 so I could continue on my trip, which went from being a 2-month trip to just 2 weeks. It was the worst breakdown I've ever had on the road to date. But the outpouring of support from our then nascent community was so overwhelming that I still think of that moment, now more than 3 years later, as an overall positive experience. Our friend Brian Wood came out for dinner, and people as far as Columbia, South Carolina, and even Tennessee offered to help. So thank you all once again. Preheating the convection microwave
to bake a pizza. And it turns out the convection microwave preheating consumes almost 2000 watts, so I had to turn off the AC. Found everything from tops to be kind of salty, so we'll see how this pizza turns out.
I turned on the AC and
the convection microwave, we're consuming 2508 watts. Doesn't coincide with these 3.2 kilowatts. Maybe because solar is playing a part in that, I don't know. Here we get a better view. We're pulling 86% of the total load of the inverter. 2597, 2598. That inverter is a beast. It's running the AC and the convection microwave at the same time. Well, I spoke too soon. We actually did overload not the battery, not the inverter, but actually the physical breaker down there. And I had a tough time figuring out what was going on, what was wrong. But eventually we did. And now we have once again air conditioner. And the pizza cooked reasonably well. Now I'm gonna make some coffee. And Georgia, here we come.
it is not the most scenic drive, so I'll spare you the details. Suffice to say that a little over 3 hours later, Georgia is on our minds. As we cross the Savannah River.
Welcome to Georgia.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we are now in the peach state and we're feeling peachy. Going back to the Kia incident, one thing we've learned as long-term travelers is that we have to get used to the idea that things don't always go as planned, or that it is okay to sometimes, on a whim, just change your route or where to spend the night. So we decided to try yet another off-the-beaten-path state park. And Hamburg Lake here seems to have some first-come, first-served sites. I spoke to the campground host and she told me which sites were available.
No, not Pelican.
It is a beautiful campground. And that is our first come, first served site. And these are the nice sites by the lake, but apparently they were all taken. This one I am definitely adding to the list. What a beautiful campground. We're on the home stretch. Tonight, we're sleeping at Pelicamp. Can't wait to see it. We haven't been there since almost 7 weeks ago.
When's the last time we saw one of these?
So, eventually we made it to Macon, got on I-75, stopped at Buc-ee's. After Valdosta, Georgia 31 South. And right after crossing the Withlacoochee River, we're back in the Sunshine State.
Welcome to Florida.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is starting to look like Pelicamp. And we've finally made it to our Eastern Panhandle retreat, Pelicamp. And it wouldn't be the Sunshine State if we didn't get a summer afternoon downpour, right? I was gonna turn on the well, but forget about it. We'll wait until it stops.
We just made it back to Pelicamp. Look how everything is overgrown. It's incredible. Month and a half, and none of this. It's like these trees are growing here. I don't know if I'm supposed to let vegetation grow on top of the leach field. Our pine tree is substantially bigger too. Oh, this is like crazy. All this area where I left the mulch, of course, is staying the same. I'm gonna go turn on the well, and I'm gonna empty the tank. Get rid of, I've heard that, if you haven't used the well for a while, you're supposed to, that water has been in there for a month and a half, I don't know, in the heat. And this is all the hurricane damage we've had so far. Our well is the 20 amp one here. But I'm gonna drain the whole system like this. Make sure that this water is clean, and we're getting no sediment or anything like that. And it seems to be very nice, actually. Beautiful water. This is such a silent pump we have. All right, I'm gonna connect the water in the RV and take a long shower. I'm sorry to say the cactus did not survive. And there's Taylor. Minitini I looking good from the outside, a little dirty, but seems to be all right. I'm gonna go inside in a little bit and turn on the air conditioner, see how the humidity is in there. And tomorrow I'm gonna chop all this up.
We're going to Miami, and I'm happy to say Pelicamp is looking great, but it is too hot and humid in the summer. This is going to be more of a winter second home for us. And this happens to be the end of the Summer 2021 season, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. As always, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the road.
I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, and 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV.